Okay, welcome to Week 18 predictions. This is the last week before the playoffs, so you're gonna get our playoff seedings today from me and Greg. Logan's still sick, so unfortunately he can't do this video, but he has taken the Steelers, obviously, like I said last week, because the star means that he'll pick that team no matter what. So that's why he is in this video for one prediction. But yeah, you'll see me and Greg's playoff predictions at the end, or I should say playoff seedings, because we're not going to make playoff predictions. That will be next week, but it's the seedings. So let's get into the video. Okay, so you see on the first slide I went 12-3. If you're wondering why I didn't go 12-4 or 13-3, is because the Bills-Bengals game was canceled. So we're missing a game here. I didn't put it as a tie or a win or a loss or anything, so it just doesn't count to the predictions, but my overall is 153 and 99. And then we move on to Greg's. He went 10-5, so still pretty good. His overall is 115 78. Okay, and then Logan went 1-0 last week, so his overall is 30 and 16. The first game we have is Chiefs Raiders. Me and Greg are both taking the Chiefs, although I could see the Raiders getting upset in this game just because of how good they performed against the 49ers. So I could see this being closer. I just couldn't pick the Raiders because I don't think they're going to win, although I could definitely see it. But they are too inconsistent to pick them just when you think that they are a really good team, they lose. So you can never trust the Raiders, so that's why I'm taking the Steelers. Or I mean, not the Steelers, the Chiefs. And then we have Titans Jaguars. So me and Greg both taking the Jaguars. A little surprising. I don't think the Titans are favored in this game, but the Jaguars are inconsistent, just like the Raiders. So the Jaguars are at home, but the Jaguars, like I said, are a team like the Raiders. One week they could score 40 points, and then the next week they could score 10 points and lose embarrassingly. So I'm surprised that Greg didn't take the Titans here. Maybe if Logan was making the predictions, he would take the Titans, but I'm not sure. But Logan is making his predictions on this pick because he always picks the Steelers. So obviously he picked the Steelers. Greg took the Browns. Browns defense has carried them all season. Same with the Steelers, so there should be a good defensive battle, somewhat like we saw last week with the Steelers and the Ravens. But Deshaun Watson it does not look like Deshaun Watson anymore. And the Steelers could have, as we saw last week against the Ravens, the last drive, the Steelers looked like they should have scored 30 points in that game. And the rest of the game, the offense was pretty much dead. That's why the final score was 16-13. But I think the Steelers could win this game 17-10. Then we have the Bengals-Ravens. Me and Greg both taking the Bengals. Obviously, we didn't get to see how the Bengals played on Monday night, but they were winning 7-3 when the game was canceled. So they should win this game. The Ravens did not look very good against the Steelers, which is understandable because Lamar Jackson's injured. So the Ravens, another team like the Titans, where injuries just plagued them. Then we have the Vikings versus the Bears, who are tanking, so I doubt the Bears will win this game. But the Vikings are a very inconsistent team. We see them, early in the season they beat the Bills. They got off to a 10-1 record or something, only losing to the Eagles, which it was the best team in the league and probably still is because they have the best record. And then they just fell off, got blown out by the Cowboys, Packers, Colts before they came back. It was just very inconsistent. And then we have the Bills and the Patriots. We're both taking the Bills. Again, didn't get to see them play last week, which is a little unfortunate because going into this game, we won't know how the Damar Hamlin injury impacted them. But he is getting better, which is good. So hopefully that sways makes the players feel okay to play. But the Patriots could win this game. They just have to go all out pretty much. Then the Bills have also been somewhat inconsistent, like we saw them almost lose to the Dolphins. And then we have, speaking of the Dolphins, we have the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins at home. The Jets are starting Joe Flacco. So quarterback comparison is like you don't really, although Joe Flacco was a Super Bowl MVP 10 years ago or something. I mean, I'm not going to choose Skylar Thompson over him, but the Dolphins have a much better offense, like Hill and Waddle, obviously. So, although the Jets might have a better defense, the Dolphins should be able to outscore them by just a little bit. If Mike White was playing, then this would be a different situation, or the Mike White that doesn't have broken ribs was playing. But the Dolphins, another injury-prone team, unfortunately. And then we have the Buccaneers and the Falcons, both taking the Buccaneers. Yeah, Falcons should have won the first game against the Buccaneers, which would have changed everything for the playoffs, because the Buccaneers wouldn't have clinched the NFC South, and it would be Buccaneers-Falcons Week 18 to choose the division. So if the Falcons beat them, then, like I was saying, this would be a Jaguars-Titans situation, where if the Jaguars win this game, they're in. And if the Buccaneers win it, they're in. But the Buccaneers last week seemed to get it going with Mike Evans. He had like 4 touchdowns or something like that. So I think the Buccaneers somewhat figured it out on offense. But I put inconsistency just because they're another team like the Raiders. And then the Falcons are obviously a young team, so can't really blame them too much. I'm joining Greg taking the Saints this week, mostly just because they're at home. This could go either way. I'm just disappointed in the Panthers. They should have won that game. They were up 21-0 against the Buccaneers. I'm like, yes, they're going to win, because I don't want to see the Buccaneers in the playoffs. I'd rather see the Panthers. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. The Saints still have a chance to make the playoffs. If something, I don't even know how they would make the playoffs. Probably with like the Seahawks losing and the Packers and Lions tying or something like that. I don't even know how they would make the playoffs. But you'll see at the end if one of us has the Saints in the playoffs or not. But we both took the Saints here. Then we have Texans-Colts. Greg's taking the Texans. I'm taking the Colts. This is a 50-50 game. The Texans were looking good after almost beating the Chiefs. And then they kind of reverted back to the Texans because they're trying to get the #1 draft pick, obviously, so you can't really blame them. And the Colts, I think the Colts are good in the last week from previous seasons. They're either good or they're bad. I don't know. I just remember last year they lost to Jacksonville, or they won to get into the playoffs, or something like that. I don't know, but I'm going to take the Colts here. I think Ellinger is better than Nick Foles and Matt Ryan, probably, so it's good that you're starting him. Sorry, Nick Foles, by the way. And then we have the Cardinals and the 49ers. Both thinking the 49ers. Don't think the Cardinals want to win this game, so another injury-prone team. The Cardinals don't need to start anybody. They probably won't even start Hopkins because there's no point. Except for fantasy, obviously, but I don't think that they're worried about that. And we have the 49ers, who were a little bit rocky against the Raiders, but they're going for the 1 seed. They need the Eagles to lose and the Cowboys to win. I don't know if they need the Cowboys to win, but they need the Eagles to lose. Well, no, I think they do need the Cowboys to win, because the Cowboys need to jump up. Because the Eagles lose, they fall to the 5 seed. Cowboys would jump to the 2-3 seed, probably. I don't think the Cowboys could get the 1 seed unless the 49ers lose. But this isn't a video to go over every playoff scenario. Both think the Cowboys here. Washington has given them problems in the past, but they should get it done. But the Cowboys are kind of another inconsistent team, so who knows? But Cowboys need to win this game. This is a meaningless game for Washington. Shouldn't have started Wentz. Rams, Seahawks. I could definitely see the Rams winning this game. They've been good recently, apart from the loss that they took last week against the Chargers. They beat the Raiders, and then they beat the Broncos by 51 points. So, I mean, they're not bad. Not like they're going to make the playoffs or anything, but they could upset Seattle. Then we have the Giants and the Eagles. Greg's taking the Giants, big Giants fan. I don't actually know if he is a big Giants fan or not, but he seems like he always takes the Giants. I'm taking the Eagles at home. They're going to start Jalen Hurts. They want the 1 seed. If the Giants win this game, that's big, though. I mean, I don't know if it is big or not. Like, I think the Giants are pretty much locked in at the 6th seed because the Cowboys have a better record than them, and the Giants can't get to the record the Cowboys have. And I also don't think the 7 seed could get to the record the Giants have. So they're pretty much locked in at 6, but upset the Eagles, why not? They could help the Cowboys out. Chargers, Broncos, both taking the Chargers. Could be an interesting game. Broncos look good against the Chiefs. Maybe we'll see an upset here. The Chargers are in the 5 seed, I believe. Fighting with the Ravens, so the Chargers drop to 6, Ravens go up to 5 if they lose this game, and the meaningless game for the Broncos, so probably won't even start Russell Wilson, but we'll see. And then the game, Sunday Night Football, game of the week, Lions-Packers. Now, I do want the Lions to win, like Greg has the Lions, but the Packers, in the past, before the Lions beat them, and this year, the Packers have always dominated the Lions, kind of like the Bears. So the Lions just cannot find a way to beat the Packers. And with the Packers at home, I think it's going to stay that way. Because I don't even know when the last time the Lions beat the Packers at home. So the Packers are lucky they're at home in this game, because if it was in Detroit, that would be interesting. I'm going to take the Packers here, though. I think it's actually going to be a pretty high-scoring game. Now we move on to the playoffs, so you can see our playoff seedings here. This is my playoff seedings, so I have for the AFC, 1 seed Chiefs, 2 seed Bengals, 3 seed Bills, 4 seed Jaguars, 5 seed Chargers, 6 seed Ravens, 7 seed Dolphins. So we'll see if that happens. Playoff predictions will come out next week. If me or Greg get these right, I'm going to tack on another point. If we get these exactly right, I'm going to give us an extra point for this week, because I think we deserve it if we get these perfectly correct. The first 4 seeds, I think, the first 3 seeds are pretty self-explanatory. The Chiefs just need to win. And then the Bengals-Bills could flip depending on if one wins or loses. But if they both win, the Bengals go to 2, Bills drop 3, Jaguars, Chargers. Jaguars, Titans. If the Titans win, they're at 4. Jaguars lose, or Jaguars win, they're at 4. And then there's actually a scenario where both of them could get in. I'm forgetting how that happens, though. I think the Jaguars, the Titans need to win because they have a worse record. And then they would need the Jets to win and the Bills to win and the Steelers to lose. And then they should be the 7 seed. But I see the Steelers winning. So I don't think that the Titans and Jaguars are going to make the playoffs. And then the Ravens, Chargers could flip depending on if one loses or one wins. And then for the NFC, 1 Eagles, 2 49ers, 3 Vikings, 4 Bucks, 5 Cowboys, 6 Giants, and 7 Packers. So you see I have the Packers getting in at 7. Giants pretty much locked in 6 seed. Cowboys Eagles could flip depending on if the Eagles lose and the Cowboys win. Actually, well, it wouldn't be a flip. He's a 49ers win. The 49ers would go to the 1 seed, Cowboys 2 or 3, and then, but yeah, that's NFC for me. And then we move on to Greg. So he has Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Jaguars, Chargers, Ravens, same as me. So we have the same AFC, except instead of the Dolphins getting in, he has the Patriots. And then for the NFC, 49ers, like I was saying, they get the 1 seed if the Cowboys win and the Eagles lose. So the Cowboys-Eagles flip on Greg's predictions. Vikings, Bucks stay the same. Giants locked in at 6. And then he has the Seahawks making the playoffs instead of the Packers. So that's it for this week. Make sure to stay tuned for playoff predictions next week. Other random videos like you've seen I've been posting, tier lists, rain videos. If you like those, you probably don't, but it's fun for me. So